Good morning. How are you guys doing? I'm gonna skip this version. All right. Yeah, it's so funny. All right. Well, good morning, Arlie and Brett. Glad that you guys are here this morning. I'm in a dark room, so like I can see that the picture is pretty grainy here, but um, that'll work. Huh, Brian's calling me. I don't even know where my phone is. I have no idea where my phone is. Huh. I think I left it in my truck. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Hey, what do you need, Brian?
If you're here. I was in my outfit. Cool.
All right, sorry about that. I left my phone in my truck. All right, cool. Well, good deal. Well, welcome everybody. Glad that you are here. Let's get rolling on this. All right. Let me open up the Bible. There's people in the office today, so if I seem a little distracted, it's because I don't have my own office yet where I can retreat and close the door and find quietness. I miss my office at Fellowship because it was like in the middle of the room and it was super quiet and nobody was around, no noise. But we'll see what I can figure out over here at Bryant Street. Anyway, glad you guys are here. I'm going to pull up the Bible and we'll get rolling on this kind of thing. Ecamm's telling me to install the system audio. I don't think I need to do that. Now, we are, I don't have my reading list with me. It's at the other church. We finished Mark yesterday, and so today we need to go back and read some of the Old Testament, but I don't remember which books of the Old Testament we need to read. So I think what we can do, let's see if we can do this actually. Let's go to YouTube. I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to play a video from last week where I hold up the reading log that we have, and then I'll be able to see. Yeah, Brett, that's what I'm going to do. But we'll see if the internet can handle streaming and pulling up YouTube at the same time. It doesn't look like it's going to do it. It seems like it's struggling. So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. Oh, there, it did it. All right. Awesome. So, oh, I can make that smaller. That's awesome. All right, so I'm going to the studio. Actually, here, I think I can show you guys YouTube Studio. Because what are you seeing right now? Oh, you're just seeing like a screen. Huh. I have that set up wrong. Anyway, all right, I'm going to go to content. I know you guys can't see this because I don't have it set up right. I'm still on my laptop, so it's not ideal for live streaming. Usually when I live stream, I have like multiple screens going on and stuff like that. All right, I'm going to look at this old stream and we'll see if I picked a good one. Let's see if I picked a good one. And I'm just going to fast forward to the end where I would probably show it. Maybe you guys can hear me. Oh, there it is. I found it. All right. Filling it
Like
out.
I said, but we still got a lot to go on.
All right. Okay. I found it. I found it. So we can read Judges, Jeremiah, Job, Ecclesiastes, I taught through Ecclesiastes a while ago. Jeremiah, Ezekiel. You guys want to do Ecclesiastes? Let's do Ecclesiastes. We'll do Ecclesiastes. All right. That's a good place to start. So here we go. We're going to do Ecclesiastes. And then we'll roll from there. All right. Ecclesiastes. All right. You guys remember there's a sermon that I preached on the whole book of Ecclesiastes. If you're interested in Ecclesiastes and kind of what it's all about, it's on this YouTube channel. If you go and look at my sermons. Hey, Emma. Good morning. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Yeah, all the way from Ukraine. Very cool. I got your dad's message that he sent to the youth meeting thing last night that he gave to Chris Mills, and Chris Mills played it on the speakerphone. So tell your dad, thank you very much for me. I appreciated his message, and it was encouraging. So you can relay that message to him for me. All right, we're going to read Ecclesiastes, a few chapters, and then I got a bunch of stuff going on, and I got to get to that. So Ecclesiastes contains reflections of an old man, the preacher, as he considered the question of the meaning of life, and he looked back and saw the futility or the vanity, and we'll talk about that word in a second, of chasing after even the good things this life can offer, including wisdom, work, pleasure, and wealth. Even if such things are satisfying for a time, death is certain, and to end the satisfaction. Certain to end the satisfaction, excuse me. In fact, God's judgment on Adam for his sin echoes throughout the book. Yet the person who lives in the fear of the Lord can enjoy God's good gifts. Young people especially should remember their Creator while they still have their whole lives before them. Traditionally, interpreters of Ecclesiastes have identified the preacher, who is called the son of David, king in Jerusalem, as Solomon, 10th century BC. All right. Thank you, Emma. So I don't know if I take the preacher to be Solomon. I studied this book a lot, and it could go either way for me. What I will tell you is it doesn't really matter. The message is the same. And so we have kind of a few different characters, right? We have the preacher, right? And then he says this, the preacher, he says this kind of poem. And then I, the preacher, have been over Jerusalem and Israel, and I said in my heart, right? So then that's kind of what has been. But if you notice, this book doesn't start in the first person. It hits the first person when we get to verse 12, like I, the preacher, have been king over Jerusalem. But it starts in the second person, right? The words of the preacher. So, or third person, I'm sorry. The words of the preacher. So the writer of Ecclesiastes is talking about someone else called the preacher. And then he says what the preacher says, like his words. And then we go into kind of the words of the preacher. And then at the end, you'll look at the end of the book of Ecclesiastes here in chapter 12. We then have the writer speaking again, because besides being wise, the preacher also taught the people knowledge. So we switch viewpoints, I guess is a good way of saying it, right? We switch viewpoints, and in chapter 12 we have this person who is the writer talking then or commentating on what the preacher said. And so it's a subtle little difference there, but I think it makes it important that you notice that there's actually two characters in the book of Ecclesiastes, not just one. It seems like there's somebody who wrote the book, and then there's somebody who the book is about or who's reflecting on their thoughts. Well, people think it might be Solomon because it's the words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Well, who's the son of David? The son of David was Solomon. And then also the Ecclesiastes talks about this preacher being having immense wisdom, right? Wisdom like no one has ever had before. For what can man do? Right here. So it talks about this. I think it's right here. He talks about all the wisdom that he has, more than anybody. But anyway, that's just something to point out, like as we go forward. The word for vanity, and this word appears like 40 times in this book, is the word hevel. It's the Hebrew word hevel, and you can see it there. It's translated vanity or vain, but they say it refers to like a mist or a vapor or a breath, metaphorically something that's fleeting or elusive. I used, when I preached this kind of through this passage, the idea of smoke. So it's like life and all these things are hevel, meaning it's like smoke. So we feel like we can control life. We feel like we have some kind of power over the things that happen to us, or the things that we do, or the things that we want to accomplish, and it looks solid. Like life looks solid. The things that we're doing look solid. But then when we go to like grab a hold of them, they're ingraspable. They fade away, right? And that's kind of what the book of Ecclesiastes is about as we go through it. And the preacher talks about all these different things that he tried, and he tried to get kind of like some semblance of control over his life, and all of it turned out to be impossible to control. So that is that. Let's move on. We'll begin reading. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down, and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuit the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, see, this is new? It has been already in the ages before us. This is no new remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of latter things yet to be among those who come after. I, the preacher, have been king over Israel and Jerusalem, and I applied my heart to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. It is an unhappy business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. I have seen everything that is done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity, and a striving after the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. I said in my heart, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me, and my heart has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. And I applied my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceive that this also is but a striving after the wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with pleasure. Enjoy yourself. But behold, this also was vanity. And I said of laughter, it is mad, and of pleasure, what use is it? I searched my heart how to cheer my body with wine, my heart still guiding me with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the children of man to do under the heaven during the few days of their life. I made great works. I built houses and planted vineyards for myself. I made myself gardens and parks, and planted in them all kinds of fruit trees. I made myself pools from which to water the forest of growing trees. I bought male and female servants, and had slaves who were born in my house. I had also great possessions of herds and flocks, more than any who had been before me in Jerusalem. I also gathered for myself silver and gold, and the treasure of kings and provinces. I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delight of the sons of man. So I became great, surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me, and whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure, for my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil that I had expended in doing it. And behold, all was vanity, and a striving after the wind, and there was nothing to be gained under the sun. So I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do who comes after the king? Only what has already been done, Then I saw that there is more gain in wisdom than in folly, and there is more gain in light than in darkness. And the wise person has his eyes in his head, but the fool walks in darkness. And yet I perceived that the same event happens to all of them. Then I said in my heart, what happens to the fool will happen to me also. Why then have I been so very wise? And I said in my heart that this also is vanity. For of the wise as of the fool there is no enduring remembrance, seeing that in the days to come all will have been long forgotten, how the wise dies just like the fool. So I hated life, because what is done under the sun was grievous to me. For all is vanity, and striving after the wind. Hey, Hannah. I hated all my toil in which I toil under the sun, seeing that I must leave it to the man who will come after me, and who knows whether he will be wise or a fool. Yet he will be master of all, for which I toiled and used my wisdom under the sun. This also is vanity. So I turned about and gave my heart up to despair over all the toil of my labors under the sun, because sometimes a person who has toiled with wisdom and knowledge and skill must leave everything to be enjoyed by someone who did not toil for it. This also is vanity and a great evil. What has a man from all the toil and striving of heart with which he toils beneath the sun? For all his days are full of sorrow, and his work is a vexation. Even in the night his heart does not rest. This also is vanity. There is nothing better for a person than that he should eat and drink and find enjoyment in his toil. This also I saw is from the hand of God, for apart from him who can eat or who can have enjoyment? For to one who pleases him, God has given wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he has given the business of gathering and collecting, only to give to one who pleases God. This also is vanity, and a striving after the wind. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up what is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What gain has the worker from his toil? I have seen the business that God has given to the children of man to be busy with. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also, he has put eternity into man's hearts. Yet so he cannot find out what God has done from the beginning to the end. I perceive that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live. Also, that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. I perceive that whatever God does endures forever. Nothing can be added to it, nor anything taken from it. God has done it, so that people fear before him that which is already has been, and that which is to be already has been, and God seeks what has been driven away. Moreover, I saw under the sun that in the place of justice even there was wickedness, and in the place of righteousness even there was wickedness. And I said in my heart, God will judge the righteous and the wicked, for there is a time for every matter and for every work. I said in my heart with regard to the children of man that God, testing them, that they may see that they themselves are but beasts. For what happens to the children of man and what happens to the beasts is the same. As one dies, so dies the other. They all have the same breath, and man has no advantage over the beasts, for all is vanity. All go to one place. All are from the dust, and to dust all return. Who knows whether the spirit of man goes upward and the spirit of beast goes down into the earth? So I saw that there was nothing better than that a man should rejoice in his work, for that is his lot. Who can bring him to see what will be after him? Again I saw the oppressions that are done under the sun, and behold, the tears of the oppressed, and they had no one to comfort them. On the side of their oppressors there was power, and there was no one to comfort them. And I thought the dead who already were dead more fortunate than the living who are still alive, but better than both is he who has not yet been born, or not yet been, and has not seen evil deeds that are done under the sun. Then I saw that all toil and all skill and work come from man's envy of his neighbor. This is also vanity and striving after the wind. The fool folds his hands and eats his own flesh. Better is a handful of quietness than 2 hands full of toil and striving after the wind. Again I saw vanity under the sun, one person who has no other, either son or brother, yet there is no end to all his toil. And his eyes are never satisfied with riches, so that he never asks, for whom I am toiling and depriving myself of pleasure. This also is vanity, an unhappy business. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if 2 lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, 2 will withstand him. A 3-fold cord is not quickly broken. Better was a poor and wise youth than an old foolish king who no longer knew how to take advice. For he went from prison to the throne. Through his own kingdom he had been born poor. I saw all the living who move about under the sun, along with that youth. I saw all the living who move about under the sun, along with that youth who was to stand in the king's place. There was no end of all the people, all of whom had led. Yet those who come later will not rejoice in him. Surely, this also is vanity, and striving after the wind. That's funny, Brett. Yeah, all right, I'm going to cut it short today, because I got another thing I got to run and do. But thank you guys for joining me. I'll set this stuff up for Monday, and I will see you guys on Monday. Yeah, sorry it was a little bit shorter today. Still kind of getting settled in over here. Hopefully next week I'll be a little bit more settled in and a little bit more focused. But enjoy Easter, celebrating with your families, and remember that Jesus died for you so that you can be reconciled unto him. And be thankful for his goodness and his kindness to you and what he's done for you. Thank you for everyone who came to the service last night. Man, I was super blessed. Super duper blessed by the whole thing. And I appreciate it. So we'll be in Ecclesiastes chapter 5 starting on Monday. And yeah, it was great hanging out with you guys. So see you Monday. Peace.